G'day and welcome back to Stitch Up and another episode of Planet Coaster. This is our very stitched up Christmas series in Planet Coaster, and this is episode 4. So I'm just showing you a little bit of the terrain editing that I've been doing in between episodes. So we're editing the back of the park, starting to look at a bit of a mountain in the corner there, just to give us a little bit of something to backdrop for our very next project, which will be in this very episode. But yeah, I'm starting to look at different terrain parts and different levels for this disused quarry, and getting all of these sort of visuals together in between episodes so we can have a nice productive episode with building things we like. So actually this episode we're going to be building none other than a coaster. We're going to be looking at a lovely coaster for this episode, and I've got a very special naming of the coaster which is going to be talked about very shortly as well. So why don't you enjoy this Stitch Up intro, and I'll see you in just a sec. And so here we go. So we are starting off with the coaster. And of course, what we'll do here is just raise the coaster up a little bit. We'll talk about which particular coaster I use in just a sec, and why I use that particular wooden coaster. But first of all, I just wanted to mention Silverette. So another very famous YouTuber for Planet Coaster. A very famous YouTuber, because I'm definitely not. Silverette, he does some really cool coaster tutorials. I think Planet Coaster College, I think from a couple of years back, and I'd already seen these a few times, but I went and had a little refresh on it and had a nice little look at the one he did, because that was quite lovely. And it gave me some really good ideas about, the out and back nature, I guess, of this wooden coaster. So what we've done here is we've used, particular coaster is the Monster. And I wanted a nice big drop at the start there. You'll notice that the lift hill and that really big drop, and then the second drop, which is I think the second highest point of the coaster, which we're just sort of building here. It doesn't get right down to the ground. It gets into the second drop to not over speed, but just to get enough speed going up to that second sort of hill and get into that sort of second drop. And you can see there the coaster plunges through the water. We do make some adjustments to everything. I wanted to make those two structures of the coaster face the entrance. So I really want, and that goes with the theming. We'll get to the theming and the name of the coaster and why it's themed this way in a little while. But that goes to the theming of the coaster. So this is all thought out. I actually thought about this coaster quite a bit, and I put a lot of thought into it. I didn't do a practice run on site, but I definitely did a practice run in another part of the park off camera, where I built just a bit of a wooden coaster. You can see here I'm just playing around with where it goes. So out and back, I guess this coaster is an out and back because it starts in one point, it gets straight into a sharp turn with a lift hill, and then it goes to a certain destination. Turns around. This is the destination here. This is the entry lake, the lake of the that is overlooked of the entry, and this is the big focal points. And then it heads back. It goes there. It does a few things. You get some airtime hills, and we can see the airtime hills, and then it comes back. And of course, I got carried away, and I thought, look, it's a wooden coaster. I wanted it to be quite traditional, but then I really wanted a coaster to go through the observation wheel, the avalanche, as it were. I think I've put a sign in there saying the avalanche as well. So we'll have a look at that in the free play. We'll have a look at some of the signage for both of these rides, and we can talk about naming the other flat ride as well, because there's another flat ride in there. But yeah, so he's headed out, he's headed back, and this coaster here, the nature of it is to cross over itself a few times. Some head chopper moments are in there, and they're quite important. I think those head chopper moments for wooden coasters, just to they're staples of what they do, because they wind in amongst themselves. And the idea that a structure is supported, or two parts of the structure, two separate parts of the track are all built around the same supports, is kind of cool. I didn't want it to interact with the Christmas tree here too much. I try to minimize its impact on the Christmas tree, and I'll let you be the judge if I've succeeded in that. There are adjustments here. We've got to remember when building a wooden coaster like this, and you can see it's a nice kind of, you can start to see the shape. I like the length of it. Guys, I'm really happy with how this coaster's come out. I mean, I'm not big on building these coasters, and I'm, it's not my strength in the game, but I'm happy with how this come out. Popping a brake run in here with a block section so we can run 2 trains at once. Let's talk about why we used the monster. I had three possible contenders for this wooden coaster. I didn't want to put a hybrid in there because I would like to try a slightly inverted, more substantial wooden coaster in the other part of the park, in the back part of the park, and I think I'll use a hybrid for that one. So this probably will be the only woody in the actual park, I think, at this stage. Now we chose the monster. Basically, I guess the car layout. So I had a choice here. So I had a choice with the monster, Zephyrus, or the Nala. Now Zephyrus and the monster both have cars that have quite a few in them. So I ruled out the Nala because those cars hold 2 people, but there's lots and lots of cars joined to each other, but each car only holds 2. So I think it's just a more modern coaster, the Nala. So I wanted a slightly older fashioned one. I wanted a real nod to the old woodies. I think this would be a fairly new park, but that's an old traditional kind of woody. So it was out of Zephyrus and the monster. Zephyrus holds 8 per car, which I did like, but I just thought the cars, they're very red, white and blue in Zephyrus. They're very American, and I didn't think that fit at all. So I know you can change the colors, but look, the monster cars, we'll see them when we go into the live play. We'll have a look at the monster cars, but they're nice and plain. They hold 6 per I was going to say per sortie, I guess I could say that. 6 per car, and I think I've got 5 cars on here. So we should have 30 people riding at any one time with another 30 loading. And that's kind of cool. Now another thing is here, you can see the coaster has been built over water, and it's a wooden coaster sitting over water. Now what I've done is I go back and I fix that at the end. So I did some of the theming, or not theming of it, but some of the finalizing the coaster, and I basically fill in the land just like I'm doing here. I fill in the land a bit and I make it so that it doesn't go over water at all, and I changed the actual layout of the lakes and everything. Now we're sinking down this area here, but I'm not putting water in this bit, so don't panic. What I want to do is I actually want this back area, the brake runs, the slow down S-bend, I want that to be the queuing system for the ride. And so I put a bit of a little bit of a pit in there, and I level it off, and off camera I sort of I guess soften some of these edges, but yeah, it ends up coming up pretty good, the queuing system. I try not to, I do like the symmetricality of this, the grid system for the queuing, but what we do here is we just start to put it like an actual queue in here. It's not massive, but you do enter the queue from the bend. And I like the idea for the coasters. I like the idea for all the rides actually, that you enter in one point, but you don't necessarily exit at the same point. Now I say that, the Avalanche is the exact opposite of that. The entry and exit are right next to each other for the Avalanche. Yeah, we end up for this one putting the entry here with a pit. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Please subscribe. Yay, we're getting subscribers. It's very exciting. But please share my videos and support. The best thing you can do is subscribe, I think, as well as watching it. But yeah, that's your Christmas present to me. Yeah, so we're talking about entry points, exit points, and we'll talk a little bit about the ride. What is it? Oh yes, the station building will be themed as well, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that on camera. It's not my strength, and I'm apprehensive of trying to keep this polished, showing my strengths on camera and trying to challenge myself a bit, but also it could be one where I do it and I have a go at it, and if it looks good, I'll keep it in. So let's talk about, and of course you can see some cinematics here. The only other thing I wanted to mention about wooden coasters in here, if you're not too familiar, but the good thing about wooden coasters is the smoothing. So you can build wooden coasters, and I built this whole thing with sharp bends and rockety parts, went left to right, even the bank facing the wrong direction, and it is quite good if you can just kind of smooth this out. So what I'm trying to say there is, when you build the wooden coasters especially, go ahead and don't worry about the how smooth it is, because the smoothing out at the end just makes that coaster so lovely to ride on. Now you have to remember that, you know, some of I guess the airtime hills are going to be quite tall. And you have to remember, once you smooth them, you're going to lose a little bit of height. So when I built the coaster, I built in extra height, knowing that I'd lose it, and I wanted the coaster to sit a little bit lower. So that was part of the design, and we did all that. And yeah, that ended up coming up pretty good. We'll have a run through it a little bit later. If we have a look here, I've actually gone to start to theme it up. And what I've done is, the coaster's still not painted, but I normally do my lighting at 5 p.m. I've started doing it at 5 a.m. because you get a completely different set of light. You don't get the sun interfering. This is really like a nighttime. And I guess some of our cinematics towards the end of the series could be very much focused at nighttime. Because this park, as spectacular as it looks during the day, I think it probably wouldn't open till 2 in the afternoon, and then it would probably run throughout the night. So it'd be one of those ones, a bit like Winter Wonderland. You can get there 11 o'clock in the morning if you want, but it's best at 4 in the afternoon when it's starting to get dark in London. In fact, by 4 it's well and truly getting dark, and that's when Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park looks its best. Let's talk about the naming of the coaster. So my niece Ruby, she put a comment on my last video, and of course watches, I think, a lot of my content, and she's enjoying the Christmas nature, or sorry, the Christmas series. I guess she likes episode 3. So this main attraction is going to be called the Ruby Rocker. So that's the name of it. The Ruby Rocker is going to be the name of the coaster. We do a sign a bit later, and I'll show you in a second just the start of the sign. I use the same lettering as the Merry Christmas sign that I put at the very start of the park. At the moment, so I guess this whole Ruby theme, because her name is Ruby, but also I like the idea that it was a bit of a Ruby themed coaster. I haven't put the Ruby jewel in there at all, the actual jewel. I'd planned to, but I haven't done that because I think there's just the scale. I don't know about building those, but I am putting a lot of these Ruby lights in, a lot of red lights, and I guess we're looking at a really red kind of color. But I actually paint the coaster as well, so we paint all the tracks and all the wood, but I still want it to look like a big wooden coaster. This is still a wooden coaster. And I painted a colour that is, I think, a nice pastel-y pink that ties in with the Ruby theme. So during the day, the thing looks red as well, and I think that's kind of good. And you do get some Ruby jewels that are quite, not so brilliant and bright. So yeah, we're starting to put some of these lights. I've got the big floodlights, and I'm toying with putting these floodlights down, so many of them down below, and having them seen. I'm contemplating covering them up with snow and still allowing them to, because I think you can cover lights up and the light still shines through the snow. I think that's how it works. I have to have a little bit of a look at that, because I don't know if that's because I've turned the scenery I've turned the scenery collision off, so I think maybe that might be why, or maybe that's just bog standard in Planet Coaster. I don't know about that. Anyway, the theming at night time is starting to look good, but the theming during the day is not so good. So I do end up painting the coaster to give it that nice Ruby look during the day, and we'll have a look at it in the free play, where But you can see just how it's going to look at nighttime, being so red. It's really going to, I mean, it's a flood of red at the moment. I need to work out exactly the best way. And of course, during the day, we're looking at it with the lights on there. And this is kind of 5 p.m, I think. We're around 5 p.m. Oh, by the way, I'm starting to look and see if we can turn the lights off in the Christmas tree, the twinkling of them, because they're interfering with the way my graphics driver was trying to present the lights of the coaster versus the lights of the tree. I think we had trouble and it had these rectangles around it. The issue stopped though, and I wonder if it was just the game getting used to what it needs to render. That's my theory, because the issue does go away. I want those scenic shots. But during the day, you can see there the coaster has this pink nature to it. You can see the color of the coaster, yeah, you know, I like that. I like that it still looks like wood, but it looks like it's been painted. I think I might go back and change the track to a darker color so that it's accented. So it's pink and red, but it's got the other accents. And of course we put in this the Ruby Rocker sign. So yeah, this coaster is completely dedicated to my niece back in Australia, Ruby, who's I guess my #1 fan. Yeah, I hope Ruby, you're enjoying this episode, and I hope you like the coaster. We're about done with the oh, by the way, I turned the yellow. The little lights on the other lettering was very much yellow. I've made them white on this. I do put the sign up as well with a backboard, and the backboard is pink. And I think the idea of the pink and the red, it actually goes quite well together because it's a really light pink, but we'll see that in the free play. So I hope you enjoyed the speed part of this episode. The Ruby Rocker has been created. We'll now go into the free play part of the episode and show you around, including a ride on the Ruby Rocker. See you shortly. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed the speed build of the episode. You can see the new sign, the Ruby Rocker, and of course one of the 2 trains waiting at the top of the lift hill while the other one completes into the brake section. Now, not overly thrilled with that. I don't like the idea of them waiting up there. I mean, I don't mind them waiting up there for 3 seconds, but I don't like the idea of them waiting up there for that long. So I don't know what to do to fix this. There'll be a way I can fix this, but yeah, we haven't of course finished over here. We haven't finished the theming on the other side of the park or anything like that. It's just to give us a bit of a backdrop, and I wanted to get the landscaping done on that side primarily. In between episodes I did put these trees along the ridge here, and I think that works out quite well with the way this coaster's kind of worked out. So I think the first thing we might do is jump in and ride the coaster. I think that could be the best thing. There it goes there. What do we do? Let's wait for this next one to go up, and then I wonder if we could, let me see. Okay, let me do this. Let me go. So if I go here, I'm in test mode. Let me jump in here and go to seats and interest. Not that one. Let's get into seat. And then do I want to look at train? We want the other train, and I think I'm there, and I think I'm at the front of the other train, so can I look around? Yeah, car 1. So I'm in train 2, and that could be quite good. Let's just do that. We must be ready to go soon. I'm sure I can look around. There we go. Here's the person next to me, and yeah, that's the other side of the park. Let's see this. So yeah, I think the idea of waiting up here for a little bit is good, but not too long. So here we go. You can even see the wood on the supports for the track. But I think we're about to go. We've got this kind of, here we go, 15 seconds. So there's the first drop. And our first head chopper moment as well, which is pretty cool too. So I think people, so then they get into it. Oh, bit of snow on the track there. We must come and fix that up. Yeah, so the ride is... actually guys, this is the first time I've ridden it since I smoothed it out the second time. So I did the original smoothing, made the video, but I've gone back and done some more smoothing just to slow down some of these corners. This head chopper moment, I do like that one. That is quite good. I'm not going to overly over-theme this. I think the idea of it is that it's this painted red coaster. Yeah, I think we're going to have to just... It is a short ride, I'll tell you that one. It's a very short ride. I think it's 90 seconds with 15 seconds at the top of the lift hill, so it is pretty short. But I guess that you know, these wooden coasters can be quite short as well. So you know, some of them are really long, but I think that's kind of it. Something might change in between episodes, just to fix up the timing there. So be prepared. There may be a slight layout change somewhere. But yeah, the Ruby Rocket is really coming along. The rest of the park's coming along. In between episodes, I also put the theming around this ride here. We put this in at the end of episode 3, and it did come up quite lovely. This little thing here. This is the Tri-Storm. If you have a name for this that you want me to rename it, then please let me know. But we put the Tri-Storm in, we put this ride in, we got these lovely pastel colours which fit with the rest of it, and then I put the theming around with the you know, this kind of hedging. I also like the way, oh, by the way, we've put these lovely lights in everywhere, we've put some hedging in, but I do like the way that it does tie in, and as you come into that first landing, you get to see a bit of that, and you get the trees and everything starting to look a bit more nestled. I think that's good. I still haven't worked out what to do with the supports here and how I'm going to change all this, but I think I'm going to redo this all with bespoke supports. I think I'm going to redo it all. I'm not going to change the layout, but I'm definitely going to do something with it, but that'll be an off-camera build probably, and something could be happening at the top of the park as well. I now have plans to put a chairlift in as well. I think the chairlift is going to be one of the very next things. A chairlift goes well in any park that's got height variations, but definitely a winter park because it's got that whole ski lift feel to it. This is also the part of the attraction of this park is to actually just come in and see the park and get the photos and do all that sort of stuff, all the Instagramming and things. And that's why, you know, we've got the Ruby Rocker, which is a very tall coaster, nice tall wooden coaster. Look at it there. I'm really happy with it, guys. I'm really happy with it. Yeah. Yeah, I am. Can you tell I'm happy with it? I think you can. This is tall as well. The Avalanche is very tall. If you have a look at it, the Avalanche is quite tall. In fact, the Avalanche is the tallest ride, and it does sit up a little bit, but the Avalanche is quite tall, and the tree is just below that. The Ruby Rocker is the next one, and then you've got the, well, not the next one, it's the third tallest, but the second tallest is actually this lovely drop tower. Broken down, the Ascendants. So we might have to look at what we're doing there. I wonder if maybe I put a star on top of this tower. I do need to either turn the mechanic option for the game off. I think I'll just disable that because I'm not sure we need to. We're not playing the game like that. This is a sandbox park, but we are going to want to get some nice you know, some nice cinematics and things. Yeah. Oh, I need to connect this in too and put a nice little, because you got the exit here straight onto. So this is what I was talking about just a bit earlier. You've got the exit in a different place to the entrance, but of course I need to reconnect that as well. I did reconnect the Avalanche. Where are we? The Avalanche is here. These are right next to each other, so this is a different one. We may change that so that the Avalanche exit path comes across here and goes around the coaster, and that might be nice because you get to walk around and see the supports and then come out to here, so that could be good. I'm also not overly thrilled. I like the idea of the Avalanche with all the rocks, and I've got the rocks because it ties in, so my signage, I'm inside the tree. My signage and my theming for the Avalanche is all about these rocks falling down, so that works. I like that. But here I tried to do it because of the Avalanche sign. I tried to do it all. Notice the color tie-ins. This is not by accident. I've tried to pick these kind of light pinky reds and pastels right throughout the park. That's part of the theme. Oh, we could do it right inside the Christmas tree. That could be it could be good, but I'm not happy with the transition of how the rocks look against this piece here, so I might have to just change all that. I think I might have to just do a natural drop this right down, do a natural pile of rocks, and do it all out of rocks. I think we're going to be fine for for part count. So yeah, that's how that's all going to be. Right, I think I'm going to leave the episode here. This has been a productive episode. We are dedicating this episode to my niece Ruby, and this is the Ruby Rocker. It's just coming into its break run, and please let me know what you think about this episode, about that particular coaster, and all of how the park is looking and what you want to see next. Like I said, we'll be doing a chairlift in the next episode, and that's going to be pretty exciting. I don't know where the chairlift is going to go, but I think enough of the park is done now. I can start to do the chairlift and then possibly complete it as the park goes on. So it'll be a shortened one that'll be lengthened at some other points. So I might do like a phase 1 chairlift and then extend it as we go, as the park expands. So that's how I think I'll get into that one. Guys, the only other thing I wanted to mention is you might have noticed at the start of the episode there was the intro. For Christmas, I'd been doing the Christmas music of the intro, but I wanted to show you that's my new Stitch Up intro that I've been working on. So I put some new footage in there, and I've put a brand new intro to all my videos, that new intro that you saw at the start here. It's much more different music, a bit more upbeat, a bit more gaming, but please let me know what you thought about that introduction, and I'd be keen to get your feedback on what you think, as opposed to the Gen 1 intro and the Gen 2 intro, which is the new one at the start of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Stitch Up. Please leave your comments. I read them and reply to every one of them. And I'll see you in the very next episode. Cheers.